This next section we're going to move on to then. So we've looked at this, which is job goals. We're looking now at more personal things, okay? So we're looking at some personal skills and qualities that you either want to develop or to update. And then on this side, we're looking at the sort of practical help that we can give you, the support that you think you need to get back into work, all right? Okay. So we sometimes call them obstacles, yeah? Obstacles to employment, and what you think they've been so far. Okay. All right, is that okay?
Yeah.
So is there anything that you think at the minute, you know, that you want to develop a little bit more of? I know we've mentioned IT, and you said, you know, that's something that you've already got, but, you know, are you happy with the sort of level of IT that you've got, or would you think of going back on another course?
I did GCSE
right,
in
so
it,
you've got
but
a
that was quite a while ago, and
right.
I know the basics, but
Yeah.
it's a while since I've used them, so I'm a bit rusty.
Right, okay. Obviously, it's not something that we do here at TNG as a qualification, but we could definitely offer you support in job search. And we also have some workbooks available that you perhaps like to have a look at. We have things for word processing packages. I don't know how are you using those sort of things like Word, Excel?
I use a computer system at Woolworths,
Right.
and I do know how to use Word and Excel, but again, it's a while since I've done it.
Okay. How are you for emails and things like that?
Okay, I use that at home, yeah.
Okay. So you'd like to develop IT skills then a little bit more?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And as I said, you know, although we don't offer a qualification, you could perhaps access at the moment while you're unemployed something like Learn Direct. I don't know if that's something you've looked into.
No, I haven't. I've heard of Learn Direct, but I've not looked.
Encouraged by her advisor, Louise is starting to identify her own obstacles to work.
So is there anything else, any other personal qualities that you think you need to develop?
Because it's a while since I've worked, I don't think I'm as confident as I used to be.
Right. Is that confidence going back into work, or is that sort of confidence in a one-to-one situation or with other people?
I think it's both. I was really nervous this week on the induction.
Right.
And that surprised me. I didn't expect that.
I think everybody's nervous on the first day because it's something new, and it was a big group, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How do you feel you've got on with the group this week, though? Are you feel more confident with working with other people now than you, or?
Now I've got to know them a bit better, it's a bit easier.
Okay. So, you'd like me to put down then confidence as a personal quality that you'd like to develop more of?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think confidence is always gained as well through doing something you enjoy. So hopefully through your work placements, getting back into a work routine, doing something that you enjoy, and meeting and greeting new people every day, working with a team. And I also think, you know, while you're here, you'll be doing quite a bit of group work. We can put you on some modules, the job activity coaching, the JACK programme. Have you heard of that before?
I've heard of JACK. I didn't
JACK?
know what it stood for.
Right, we have some modules that will look at interview preparation, CV building, telephone techniques, and lots of other modules really, but generally it is group work. So I think attending some of those should help with your confidence as well.
Okay.
So I want to go back to, I know we're talking about obstacles, Louise, and things that have stopped you getting into work. I know when we were talking about your job goals, we discussed the sort of ways that you've been applying for work, and you mentioned that you've been sending out your CV as well to companies, and that really it's not got the Woolworths in it, has it? Or
No, it doesn't have my last job.
it doesn't have your last job in it? Okay. You know, from the responses that you've had, do you think that's something that's been stopping you getting any further, getting to the interview stage?
Yeah, I think so. It doesn't really show what I've done.
Yeah, no, you're right, it doesn't. You know, this obviously experience that you've gained at Woolworths, lots of skills as well that you've probably developed over those few years there, that, you know, certainly need to be included onto a CV as well. I know you don't get the opportunity to do that, do you, unless you're applying for a position through an application form, so I think that's something that, you know, we could look at with you.
Yeah.
Would you be all right producing your CV yourself if you sort of brought it in and we had a look at it, or...?
I think I could type it myself, but
Right.
I'm not sure about how to word it.
Okay, so we want to have a look at the contents of your CV then as well as
Yeah.
updating it.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Is there anything else? Anything else you think at the minute that's been an obstacle to you getting back into work?
When I've been applying for jobs, they've been asking me for 2 references, 2 previous
That's
employers.
quite standard now, isn't it, to ask for 2
Yeah.
employee references? Yeah.
And I've only been able to give the one because obviously the place I last worked doesn't exist anymore.
So you've been able to provide them with a reference from B&Q, but not from Woolworths. Okay. Is there anybody else you know, any other work experience, will you be able to approach someone or?
No, they're the only two places I've worked.
Are there? All right. With regards to references, generally when you've been with your placement provider for a while, you can use their contact details as long as you approach them and check with them first that it's all right. Generally, they're more than happy to provide a reference for you. And I don't know if it's been mentioned as well, again, in induction, but either I or your placements officer should be able to provide you with a reference. And generally, the manager at TNG will do as well.
Okay.
Just to go through then that. So we've looked at some skills and qualities. We've looked at IT skills and confidence. Some of the obstacles that you think are stopping you at the moment. We've put obviously your CV, which we're going to update, and also the references that you've indicated that you think as well is stopping you at the moment from getting back into work. Are you happy with that before we move on to the next section? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.